What's going on, guys? It's PJ, and welcome back to another episode of the Nintendo Tonight podcast. I'm joined, as always, by Thomas and Mac. And how's it going, guys?
It's going well. I'm excited to see what you got cooking up for us today with Pokemon. I think it was perfect timing that your week to talk about the news happened to be one of the biggest leaks in Pokemon history. I'm very excited to talk about a lot of stuff and maybe not talk about some stuff. There's some weird stuff in there for sure.
Yes. We'll definitely get into that. Yeah, starting off here, Jack, if you switch the slide over, or switch over to the slide.
All of this. I know there was a leak, but
yes,
I am so curious to see what the hell is going on because I missed like a lot of it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So real quick, news that missed the cut that we're not going to be talking about too much. Game Freak had a massive leak, like one of the biggest leaks ever, kind of including beta builds for Pokemon games, scrapped starter designs, scrapped legendary designs, like lore that shouldn't have even been public information. Like so much stuff got dropped from like Gen 3 up to Gen 6. And it just came out today that Gen 7 actually isn't going to have a lot of stuff leaked, but pretty much everything that has been leaked up to now is massive. Like, you know, we're talking about, we actually potentially learned the Switch 2's code name, which is Ounce, via this leak. So that's really interesting if that's real. Stuff about like the next generation of Pokemon. We got some Legend ZA stuff, possible new Megas leaked. Info about that game and how it's going to play. Another thing about Gen 10, I'm just kind of remembering. Apparently it's Switch 1 and 2 playable. So that's kind of interesting. But what do you guys think? I know you haven't really looked too far into it. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But what do you think about this massive leak?
It kind of reminds me of the big one we had a few years ago. I'm not sure what exactly it was on, but I remember there was, like, we learned Luigi was supposed to be in Mario 64 and all that. It's a very similar leak where it's, like, not a lot of, like, future stuff has leaked, but a lot of, like, past stuff is leaked, which is almost just as interesting. Like, there's not a lot of spoilers for, like, the future of Nintendo besides, like, the code name, which, you know, I'm not sure how I feel about the codename Ounce. I think it's kind of boring. I'm not sure if there's anything we can really talk about with that. But a lot of cool beta designs, a couple weird lore backstories to some Pokemon.
Very, very strange.
Scary
stuff.
I'm not sure what is going on with the Game Freak developers. They're more like Freak developers, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, people. The bit that I saw on Twitter was Game Freak really put the freak out there, dude. Honestly, we can't even talk about it on the podcast. There's some stuff about Typhlosion. People are looking at that dude way different nowadays. It's crazy.
No.
You gotta read up on it. It's insane.
Okay, so the Pokemon like. Game
we literally cannot talk about it. Like I'm not even just saying that because I don't want to cover it like on the podcast. Like I don't want to spend too much time. Like, yeah. Jack just told us it's really bad. It's some spooky stuff there. So,
dude, Nintendo Tonight After Dark, we could get Jack and PJ, the two Pokemon heads, just talking about whatever is in this. Whatever. Yeah, maybe we don't do that based on what the boys are describing. I don't know. I think this is a cool leak. Learning more behind the scenes stuff I think is always interesting, and like codename cool, whatever. Again, I'm not huge into Pokemon, but this seems like something that the Pokemon community would completely eat up, except for all the weird stuff that is being alluded to that I'm not even going to look up right now because I feel like that'll put me in a weird vibe for the rest of the podcast. So let's
Indeed.
I'm not answering that.
Yeah. Essentially though, it was really cool because there's actually this like not a scrapped Mudkip design, but a scrapped water type starter design from Gen 3 that's actually a bunny. It's kind of Score Bunny looking like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like a water Score Bunny kind of thing. And like I'm not sure if its tail is like supposed to be like a life ring or something, or I'm not sure what it was, but it was a cool design.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of me too. Yeah, Mudkip's the goat. No, there's a bunch of like scrap designs as well, like, you know, evolution lines that ended up not happening, or Pokemon, like for example, like Blitzel and Zebstrika originally were supposed to be one Pokemon instead of it being like Blitzel being able to evolve. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it, but if you happen to be interested, it's really cool to look into because there's stuff from like Gen 3 to 6, and it's
Dang.
really interesting. Even the anime, there's stuff about the anime and like Pokemon movies and like their whole vision on moving on from Ash, which was like a really interesting read on like why they chose to do that and stuff like that. But yeah, just interesting. But didn't want to do a whole thing because again, that stuff would have came up. So anyway, moving on here, guys. So they announced a new piece of hardware, but it's not the Switch 2. It's an alarm clock. Thomas, since you bought it, how about you break this down really quick? Because why would you do that to yourself? $100.
This was a poor financial decision. Let me just
Indeed.
tell you. It has not even shipped. I just thought to myself, hey, my quality of sleep down in the dumps right now. I have not been sleeping well at all. Not to really harp in on my personal life. I like have not been sleeping well, not because of anything. Just I've been like working late, not doing things that are conducive to good sleep habits. And then Nintendo comes out with this alarm clock, and I'm like, I'm not buying that. And then like a day later, I was like, but what if I made a video out of it? And so I put that on the company card, and that will get written off as a tax deductible to purchase. So when the IRS gets a message saying I am writing off $100 of taxes for a alarm clock, that will be an interesting conversation with old Uncle Sam. But no, I don't know. I just thought it was like, okay, sure, alarm clock. I don't even think I'm going to really use it because I didn't realize this until after I pre-ordered or purchased it, but it has cameras watching you in your bed.
Yes.
Not a huge fan of that for many reasons. But yeah, I don't know. I figured it could be good for a video, maybe like a week video. Like my first thought process was like, if I did something like, can the Nintendo Switch change my life in a week? And then I just grind like Ring Fit Adventure and get really good sleep habits with the alarm clock and like something like that. Like maybe make a video, try like a self-betterment video. I don't even know. But yeah, it's an alarm clock. I mean, funnily enough, I think the most comedical part about this is that it's an alarm clock, but even alarm clocks are not safe from the free update trend that Nintendo has been on. First, it took over Mario sports games. Now it's taking over your damn alarm clock. You don't even get all the themes right off the bat. I think you gotta wait for like Mario Kart and maybe Pikmin or Animal Crossing or something. I don't know. It's an alarm clock that wakes you up to Nintendo music and it tracks your sleep. Sure. That's about it. I don't know.
Such a random announcement. Mac, what do you think?
Why are they doing this?
The one logical reason I can think as to why they're going to do this, or why they are doing this, the one thing I can think about is that in 2016, end of the Wii U's life, we know we're about to get the Switch at the start of 2017. They come out with the NES Classic, maybe just to have something on store shelves for the holiday. Maybe that is what this is. They're just hoping that, $100 alarm clock.
But does this even go in like the games section of like Target? It's not a game.
I don't know. I don't know where they even sell
That's
this.
such a good question, actually.
I don't even know how you would find this. I think it probably does go in the game section of Target because they have like a whole Nintendo area.
The controllers, no?
Yeah, it probably just goes somewhere around there. I think they're hoping this is like a stocking stuffer / like, some sort of Christmas gift for insomniacs who happen to be Nintendo fans. I don't know. But yeah, that the only thing I can think of is it being something kind of like an NES Classic, SNES Classic type. They want to get hardware out for the holidays. That's about it.
Yeah.
I think we're being nice calling it hardware because it's like, good God,
Well,
I find
it's
it,
a physical
I find it
thing
so
you can.
funny.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
but it is a physical thing that you can purchase, which is kind of what they're looking for.
Weird Nintendo is not dead. I think that's my major takeaway from this. Like they're still putting out the weirdest things in the gaming market. Like that's not changing anytime soon.
That's a
This
good
reminds
takeaway, at
me-
least, yeah.
It reminds me of the Xbox Series X mini fridge that Microsoft did because
yeah.
everyone was like memeing about how their new console looked like a mini fridge, and so they said, screw it, we'll make it a mini fridge. No one was memeing about Nintendo and alarm clocks, but Nintendo just comes up with their own ideas randomly, and it's like, yeah, sure, we can do this. Fine. I mean, clearly it worked. I pre-ordered it for no reason. I could have just set $100 on fire and it probably would have provided me more entertainment than an alarm clock. The only thing I can really think of is maybe, and this is insane copium as someone who just spent $100 on this, maybe it can connect to Switch 2 somehow, some way. I don't know. Or it can connect to like Pokemon Sleep on your phone because it monitors you while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some sort of connection there.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
I don't know. I also don't think it will be monitoring me while I sleep most nights because I don't love that idea.
No.
Specifically for one major reason, which I'm sure many of you can guess. Personally, I just be playing a lot of emulated games in my bed. I be going to bed playing some Mario Kart DS on Delta emulator on my phone. I be playing some Pokemon Sapphire, which I have the cartridge. But if the Nintendo Alarmo clock catches wind that I am playing pirated or emulated games in my bed, I think it will self-combust. Yeah, it will self-combust. It's got cameras on that thing. It can lock on, kill you, which I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, that's probably the main reason for Nintendo to do this is they want cameras monitoring you when you sleep so they can just make sure that you're not pirating any games or playing on a modded Switch. That's probably realistically the biggest reason. I don't even know, bro. We're just yapping about an alarm clock. There's nothing here. It's an alarm. Why did I spend $100 on this, bro?
Literally.
Oh my god.
A better use of your $100 could have been even buying Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
That
which,
should have been
are not
our
very
segment
good.
for
It's
the
crazy.
day.
What?
10 better ways to spend $100 than buying a
Oh, yeah.
I could do that right
Gotta
now.
workshop that.
You could come up with that in 2 seconds. Any other way really is probably better. You could probably
The best example I heard was, you said it already, setting $100 on fire and watching it burn would be more entertaining than the alarm clock.
Yeah, you could probably eat it. I mean, eat the
Fun.
dollar bill.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the alarm clock.
Me too. I was like,
no. You
Have
probably
any of
can't
you
eat
ever
that.
eaten
That's
a
too
dollar
big.
bill before?
What was that?
Have you ever eaten a dollar bill before?
No.
No?
can't say I have either.
No? Okay. Never mind. Continue.
Wait.
Have
no,
you?
hold on. Can't breeze by that.
Yeah. I think you have. I mean,
I've eaten a
maybe your
dollar
dog
bill.
has,
A
but
dollar bill. Not an $100 bill. A dollar bill.
why? We need this lore.
His
Was
shit's
it a
money.
bet?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
that was
move
funny.
on. Let's move on.
Okay. Yeah, let's move on. Screw that.
Yeah.
Damn a
Here,
lot.
this is actually interesting. We could talk about this
Yeah.
for a while. This is actually interesting. So we randomly got this dropped saying that you have to have the expansion pack to participate, to sign up in a new playtest program, and nobody knows what it is. You can't even talk about it. It's like this weird kind of NDA phrasing as well. And it was really difficult to get into. I think our entire group chat tried to register for it, and we all shot a blank. We just didn't get in it at all.
Yeah.
And still nobody knows what this is. There's been a couple predictions, it being, Nintendo is bringing back GameCube controllers in a upgraded kind of way, and maybe this is somehow hand in hand with some GameCube Online thing. I don't know, but that's what people are saying.
That's gotta
Playtest
be
program.
Cope.
What do you guys think? It 100% is Cope.
That's got to
I
be
agree.
Cope. I don't think this is anything related to N64 Online,
No.
GameCube Online, none of that. They've never done a playtest for something like that. I also
That's
don't
why
think
it's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's got to be something streaming related. The thing is, in the fine print of the playtest, it says that you have to download an app on your Switch. So it's an app on Switch, which makes me think maybe it's like a Miiverse type successor. Clearly, it's going to be something for Switch 2, Switch Online. I don't think they're adding a massive new online feature that requires a playtest. The first one they've ever done for just base Switch Online. They've done playtests for Splatoon and stuff. I don't think they're adding a huge new Nintendo Switch Online feature to just because of, the Switch 2 is about to be announced within the next 3 or 4 months. That's confirmed because they've said that. So if Switch 2 is about to be announced before the end of the fiscal year, probably releasing some point, maybe even early next year, 2025, why now start playtesting a brand new feature for the base Switch Online? Clearly, this is something that's kind of being made with the idea of Switch 2 in mind. So the only thing that kind of makes me excited about this, because we're not in it, is inevitably it will leak. There's just no way they have 10,000 Nintendo fans playtesting something and it
They have
doesn't
to sign
leak.
an NDA.
I don't think people care. And just frankly, I do not think that matters. This will get leaked, and it will, hopefully give us some insight on where Nintendo is taking at least Switch Online for Switch 2. Because if there is if it leaks that we're getting a Miiverse successor, then okay, there it is. Nice. So.
I think it could be something a little more boring. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it could be a thing where like almost like a Stadia almost, where you're just like streaming games, and it'll just be games like Mario Kart and like Mario Odyssey, and it won't be anything like too special. Nothing special that like anybody will be able to tell from playing the playtest. But I could see them taking it in a Miiverse direction. I just feel like they'd be a little more forthright? I don't know. Be a little more forthcoming.
Yeah.
That's the word. Yeah, a little more forthcoming with what it is if it were something like Miiverse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's some sort of social feature, because like the tweet background, like the Nintendo Switch Online playtest program, like it has like this globe looking thing behind it. So when I first saw that, I was like, okay, maybe some sort of social feature, but I don't know. Like I'm kind of with Mac. Like I'm not really expecting anything big from this. Like people who are saying like GameCube Online, like why would you need to playtest that? Like I don't get it. We have GameCube games like on the Switch already that run perfectly fine. So I don't know why you'd need a playtest to do that. I don't think the analog triggers as well have any sort of like issue that they might run into. There was also this thing with Smash Ultimate where they randomly updated the game the other day, and it like broke GameCube adapters, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, this must mean GameCube Online is coming. Oh my god, this must mean GameCube Online is coming." I'm like, dude, please be for real. Like it's so bad. We're in such like a dry state right now that people are just predicting the most like outlandish things ever. But I'm kind of gonna go towards the Miiverse revival kind of area. I mean, who knows? It's so weird. Like, I'm excited to see, obviously, because we didn't get, an invite, unfortunately, but it'll leak. I mean,
it'll leak. The only thing I want to say is we will be posting this podcast on October 17th, Thursday, and on the 20th is when the playtest, I believe, actually begins, or at least people are learning what the playtest is, anyone who's in the playtest. So because Nintendo definitely knows this is going to leak, it doesn't matter how many NDAs you make people sign. If you have 10,000 people in a playtest, it's going to leak. There will probably be maybe an announcement kind of going over what this is somewhat soon. I just don't see them having this entire new playtest, testing off some big new feature and not really getting out ahead of the inevitable leaks that are going to come out. I don't know. Maybe not right away, because if they were going to announce it right away, then why even bother with the NDA? But like relatively soon after the playtest concludes, probably last week of October, first week of November, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of announcement for whatever this is. So we'll stay tuned for that and obviously cover it here on Nintendo Tonight. But just one point I wanted to, this is going to leak, so I feel like they got to announce something, right?
Yeah. True that. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's so weird. Like we kind of back to back got like the most strange announcements ever. It was this dumb alarm clock. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
this dumb alarm clock, and then we have this random playtest, and then people are like, "Oh, it must be GameCube Online." LOL. Like, okay, please be real. But anyway, we shall see.
They love hitting us with the announcement to the announcement. That's like Nintendo's move. Just like give us something that is nothing.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
All right. We can move on to the segment here, and today we're bringing back hot takes. We have not done this in a hot minute. I've got 3, and I want to hear what you guys think. So you guys also, viewers, listeners, comment down below. Let us know what your Nintendo hot takes are, and also what you think, of our takes as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first one here, Mario Odyssey 2 just is not happening. I just don't think Odyssey 2 is a thing. I think the Odyssey brand, quote unquote, I just did air quotes for audio listeners there. I don't think we see it again. The only kind of 3D Mario sequels that we've had are 3D World and Galaxy 2, one of which wasn't really planned to happen. Like, we all know the Super Mario Galaxy More thing. So as great as Odyssey is, and I think it's one of, if not the best 3D Mario game of all time, I don't think we'll see another game like it. And I think Nintendo might go in a different direction with the next 3D Mario when we see it.
I don't think that's too crazy to say. I would
Gotta keep the takes hot, man.
Yeah, I would personally say that I feel Mario, the 3D Mario series, will probably go in a new direction, like you said. I think Odyssey at this point is pretty far-fetched. During the original Switch, I think it would have made sense to have an Odyssey 2. But at this point, it's been so long. Like, it was 2017 when this game came out. It was in production in, 2015, 2016. That's almost a decade from now. Or back then.
Ago, yep.
Ago, yeah. I don't see them going backwards, and I feel like having an Odyssey sequel at this point would be going backwards. I think the next 3D Mario game will be something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I think also there's the Bowser's Fury of it all.
Yep.
I think just looking at Mario Odyssey, an Odyssey 2 would be so delicious, but I just don't think we get it. I think it's been too long. I agree with you on this take. I don't even know how I wonder what the people are thinking. Leave a comment down below if you're watching this on the YouTube video if you guys think we'll get an Odyssey 2, because I'm not really sure what people think about this. We made a bunch of videos about an Odyssey 2, and the comments are always kind of 50-50 split of 50% of the people being like, I love this video, I want an Odyssey 2 so bad, and then the other half being kind of more, I guess, realistic, if you want to say that, and being like, we're never getting an Odyssey 2. And I am inclined to agree with those people now. I definitely was on the Odyssey 2 train. I thought, around maybe 2020, 2021, we'd maybe get an announcement for it, but didn't happen. I agree with you. I think Odyssey 2 is completely chalked. I think the next thing we get is going to be a big open world, kind of like Bowser's Fury. We saw them experimenting on Bowser's Fury. So yeah, I just think Odyssey is unfortunately dead, which sucks because obviously Cappy is so great, not just for the capture mechanic, but just the movement that Cappy provides. I just don't think we're getting it again, though.
Yeah, it's one of the smoothest kind of gameplay mechanics Mario's had. And Mac, I think you had a take a couple, before our last hiatus, which I can't even remember what episode it was, but I think you brought up how you think the future of 3D Mario is just going to be very Bowser's Fury-esque.
Oh yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, I think.
And you think they're just strictly going in that direction?
Playing Bowser's Fury, I think it's very obvious that that's the future of 3D Mario. It feels like a mixture of Odyssey and 3D World, which when you play Bowser's Fury, you've got the power-ups from 3D World, you've got a lot of the same mechanics, but the overall feel of Mario's movement feels very Odyssey. It feels much more exploratory, and I feel like Bowser's Fury is almost like a demo for what the next 3D Mario game would be.
I completely agree. Yeah, Bowser's Fury lets Nintendo have their cake and eat it too. They get the more linear puzzle design of 3D World, because the islands of Bowser's Fury are very linear, but they allow it to be placed in an open world setting of, in Bowser's Fury's case, Lake Lapcat. I completely agree. I think Bowser's Fury is probably the future, at least for whatever they're doing next of 3D Mario.
Yep. All right. I think we move on to the next take here, which is Nintendo Switch Online as a whole is still incredibly underwhelming. Now, let alone the game library here. I'm a little biased because it's boys, where are the Pokemon games? What are we really doing right now? Mystery Dungeon, cool, but we want we want Sapphire, we want Emerald. But the library aside, it is still very underwhelming. There are a bunch of games there that I think a lot of fans still want to see that are just not on there. They're very kind of delayed with adding games. We'll see maybe once every 2 months or whatever, we'll see a new game added. And then on top of that, I know that Nintendo has always kind of gone their own way, and they haven't really strayed to the typical Microsoft and Sony path of, game invites and stuff like that. But the Nintendo Switch Online app, like, what even is that? I don't think there might be 15 people on the planet that use that. Like, I there's just no way. So overall, Nintendo, this was the first time they've kind of went to the paid online structure, which, you know, Microsoft and now Sony have been doing for a number of years. And not that it was a complete failure, because obviously we are required to have it. It just should be a lot better than it is. And hopefully with Switch 2 coming out relatively soon or being announced, they'll kind of take a step up here and, you know, eventually build something that I think a lot of fans will enjoy. Because Thomas, I know even you said, like, I don't even have the expansion pack. And I feel like a lot of people have kind of moved to it. So what do you guys think of that?
I would honestly disagree. I think Nintendo Switch Online as a concept I don't like. I think forcing people to pay to use online is pretty predatory. However, the features it does have, I think when you take a step back and you don't take a look from like when the expansion pass released and look at it from what we have today, I think for the price, it's not that bad. Like, you have all this DLC that, to be fair, you don't actually own, but you have it. You have all the N64 games, all the SNES games, all the NES games that you would really ever want besides the Pokemon games. I'm honestly a big fan of what I have with the boost from the expansion pass. I think Nintendo Switch Online with like its features outside of the games are pretty underwhelming. I would agree with that. But specifically for the games it does have and the DLC that it allows you to have for basically free, because you don't buy those expecting to have the DLC. I think Nintendo Switch Online at this point is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as a quick clarifying point, I think like the price at first, it was pretty egregious because it's like, you're paying this much more. Like I think either Thomas or I made a short, I think I did, on the Switch Stop channel, talk about like the pricing of it. Now, like the optics of it are way better. I think it is worth, you know, closer to that. But I just overall just think it's still very underwhelming.
When the booster course first came, I keep messing up. When the expansion pass first came out, it was just N64, which was great, Genesis, which was like, sure, and then an Animal Crossing DLC, which like, I'm not sure how many people were really jazzed for Animal Crossing DLC. But now that you have that and all of the other DLCs plus the booster course pass all basically included, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I cannot say it's a good deal until they add some form of usable voice chat. I think
I agree with that. I think the games wise it's great. Outside of that, I think it's pretty terrible.
I just think as a whole, it's so dumb to have to pay for because I don't really want to play N64 games on my Switch. I don't really need to play Game Boy games on my Switch. So I just pay for the base thing and I get the family membership so I can get all my boys on. The problem with the Switch Online, whether you're talking about the expansion pass or you're talking about the normal base version, it just lacks features that are industry standard. Voice chat not being in there, and do not even begin to talk about the app. Complete missed opportunity. I feel like Switch Online it should be called Nintendo Missed Opportunities, because there are so many, like Mother 3. It's in Japanese. Brother, translate that game. Come on, Nintendo. No Pokemon games on the Game Boy, whatever. That sucks. But also just like, they're giving you like 3 DLCs. They're giving you an old Splatoon campaign. They're giving you the Mario Kart Booster Pass, and they're giving you Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise or whatever. If you look at like the way Xbox has their online setup, or even Sony, the way they have their online setup, there's like new games being added to that every single month, like big AAA games. They got like actual voice chat that's in the system. You don't have to use some phone app that no one uses. They're like, I don't know. I just think I don't even think the online works particularly well. Like, if we're gonna be paying for online, where's the dedicated servers for Smash Bros? Where's the dedicated servers for like?
Yeah, we're still on peer to peer, yet we're having to pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I cannot get behind Nintendo Switch Online until they add in a social party chat menu that allows us to use party chat and like I don't know. I feel like there's so much more stuff too that could be such a such an easy slam dunk. And instead they're going for like weird Hail Marys that hit maybe 1/10 of the time. Like fine, we have Sega Genesis games on the expansion pass. Brother, where are the themes on the console? Like
Literally, like
there's
what
just,
are we doing?
It
There's
seems like
themes on the alarm clock.
there's themes on the
There's
alarm
themes on the
clock
alarm
and not the
clock.
console. There's just so much stuff that would be so easy, but missing so much no-brainer stuff combined with lack of just common features like voice chat and all that. I have to agree with you. I think it's still incredibly underwhelming. I think it launched horrendously. And then they added a bunch of stuff and then also added the expansion pass. So it's kind of like, okay, I can pay $20 a year and play all my games online. Fine. But I don't know. I still think it's a bit of a bum service if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
I'm
maybe
just-
if the expansion pack didn't exist, sorry, really quick, Mac.
No,
I
you're
think
good.
if the expansion pack didn't exist and they still like put all of that content somehow into the original Nintendo Switch Online, and there was no like extra pack, and instead it was just all included, I think it would be a little more excusable. But yeah, it's a bit of a mess, and it has been for a minute, I think.
Yeah. I think I'm just a little more optimistic about it just because of how bad it was at launch. Like,
That's fair.
It was terrible at launch. And
Yeah.
it was terrible when the expansion pass launched. But I feel like over time they've added enough value to it where I think it's worth it. However, I still think an online service is just predatory outright. Like, if you're not going to have dedicated servers, if you're not going to allow voice chat in the games, like, I think that's terrible. But for something that is terrible, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah. No, I can kind of get behind that. They've definitely made it better. I think if there is a Switch 2 social menu, social button, party chat, whatever you want to call it, I think this instantly makes the service at least okay in my mind.
Yeah, you
It's
predicted
just-
that in one of your new videos recently.
Yeah, on the Switch Shop channel. I cannot even begin to say it's not terrible if they don't have voice chat. Like, the whole reason that paying for online was ever a thing was because of Xbox Live, and the way they were able to convince that was you can play games online and there's voice chat. And then, Sony eventually got on that, stooped to Microsoft's level, and now they charge for online. Nintendo's doing the same thing, except they're missing out on the original core feature that made like Xbox Live so like actually function.
it.
So I don't know. Ooh, okay. So Jack is saying, what if that's part of the beta? That's what I've been saying. I think it's going to be some sort of like party chat system, maybe. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that would make sense.
You have to be 18 plus to do the beta, which
That's a good
would make
point,
sense
yeah.
for a voice chat.
True. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think one of the main concerns at first was Nintendo's kind of like demographic to kids, like, hearing cuss words and people say horrible things over losing on Smash that, older people would probably do because, I mean, that's gaming. If you've been there, you've been there, like, you just know. So it's kind of inevitable, but that does make sense. I mean, yeah, maybe. I'd be interested to see how that works if they would release kind of like a headset along with it. But hey, if they ever announce like the Nintendo Switch Online app is like discontinued or it's stopping usage or whatever, like that's a good day for me. So yeah,
All right.
trash. Anyway,
curious on the
last hot
stereotype
take here.
Yeah.
So next one, thank you so much, good sir. The next iteration of Smash Bros will struggle to compete with Ultimate's roster. So just to kind of call back to a previous episode where we were talking about Sakurai and his channel and stuff like that, one of his videos that he posted, I think it was like 4 days ago from recording this, was literally just dedicated to Iwata and his work ethic and everything like that. And if you guys remember that I talked about Smash Ultimate, Sakurai kind of dedicated Smash Ultimate to Iwata and went all out for this game. Like, it truly is the ultimate Smash game, including characters like Sora, who we figured out actually won the Smash ballot. And, that was obviously very difficult because that's Disney, and we all know how stingy Disney can be. And all of the characters added throughout the expansion pack and everything they were able to do with this game was kind of an industry first, and the amount of collaborations they were able to do. I mean, Steve from Minecraft like literally broke the internet. Like we all know that too. So I think it's going to be very difficult for the next game to kind of up this one just because of, the characters announced, the Everyone Is Here trailer. Like there's just so many iconic moments, and I know they just keep outdoing themselves over and over again, but I feel like Smash Ultimate is just at a different level where it's going to be very difficult for them to kind of replicate this with Smash 6, especially because we don't know if Sakurai is going to be retiring or if he's going to be a part of this game like for real this time. So who knows? So thoughts?
Yeah. I don't even think. I mean, I guess it is a hot take, but I don't think it's that hot of a take. I don't see any way in which it's able to like compete. I guess in terms of raw numbers, I think the only way Smash. Yeah, see, I don't know, because Smash is in that same spot as Mario Kart, where it's like, okay, well, now what? We have like almost 100 fighters in Smash Ultimate. We have almost 100 tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. These are unfathomable numbers, even if you go back one generation. Smash for Wii U had the most fighters out of any Smash game by far. Mario Kart 8 had the most tracks out of any game by a factor of 16. Or, well, not factor, because wouldn't that mean multiplied by 6? Yeah, no.
Yes.
But by a number of 16.
Yeah.
By an integer of 16, because it had 48 tracks, and no other game had more than 32. Technically, I think that's cap. I think Super Circuit actually had. Super Circuit doesn't even count. 2D Mario Kart isn't real Mario Kart. Fight me in the comments. Anyway, to get back to Smash Bros, I agree. I don't know what they're gonna possibly do. I think no matter what they end up doing, it's gonna have a hard time competing with the roster because they are not going to be able to get all of these characters back in unless they do another Smash Ultimate type situation, and Smash Bros becomes kind of like a continuously building off itself because Smash Ultimate. It is not a port. I'm going to make that very clear. It is not a port, but it clearly does build off of Smash for Wii U. It's probably somewhat similar engine. It's clearly building off that game. So I don't know how they possibly compete with Ultimate because I don't think they do like an Ultimate DX, Director's Cut, whatever. I also don't think they do another Smash game where they just kind of keep the same gameplay formula and go crazy on the characters again because that was Ultimate's thing and you can't beat what they did. So I think it's not even. I don't even know if they're going to try to compete with the Ultimate roster because I simply don't know how you can. I think the only way they're able to compete with Ultimate in terms of like from a game-to-game perspective is capitalizing on where Ultimate might have faltered. So that would be adding brand new gameplay gimmicks, something like a. I don't want to say three-dimensional thing, kind of like Bite Tekken's thing, because that doesn't really work with the platform fighting like stages that Smash is known for, but something along those lines maybe. Maybe it's like a tag team thing where you can, every match is a 2v2, or maybe one of the main modes is every match is a 2v2, and you can switch in between your fighters, or if you're playing with another person on your team and your fighters like come together, they can perform a special like co-op fighter move. Maybe there's like an allies system where you can call on different allies to come in and help you, kind of like assist trophies that you get to pick maybe 3 of them before the match and you get to activate them at any time. Maybe it's something like capitalizing on where Ultimate faltered in the Spirits/World of Light realm, where they're going all out making a Subspace 2 type thing because, World of Light was cool for what it was, but it didn't really have the same vibe as Subspace at all, which a lot of people thought it might. Those are the only ways I can really see the next Smash Bros. Competing with Ultimate, because if you're trying to compete in terms of roster selection, I mean, I'll let Max speak on his thoughts, but I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance at all that this game has even close to the amount of characters that Ultimate has. Personally, the way I see them taking the future of the series is kind of a back to basics, back to the roots kind of game, where they take maybe like 32 of the characters and just completely retool them. So with new moves and new kind of update them, kind of how like, how the DLC characters are like much more unique than like a Mario.
Yeah.
They've got
the DLC characters have always been better, even going back to Smash 4. Like Smash 4 and Ultimate, like the DLC characters are just the best.
I could see them updating the older characters to be more updated to what the DLC characters were in Ultimate. Like I could see Mario having Cappy and being able to use Cappy to like recover back on stage and then also like take control of other characters for a certain amount of time. I could see that happen with every single one of the original characters. I also think they'll cut it down significantly. I don't think there will be 80, 90. It's just impossible for them to do that. Like, it is
Yeah.
literally impossible for them to do that.
So when I said compete, I was talking about the total number, but just
Yeah.
in terms of the third party characters, it was just like it's a
yeah.
lot
In terms
right?
of hype. I don't
Yeah.
know who gets as much hype as Steve or Sora. I mean,
Nobody.
Steven Sora is just like the
Who's, like,
pinnacle. You just
realistic,
can't
too.
even-
Like,
exactly.
Waluigi, I don't
True.
even think like
True,
Waluigi's
but
big
that
for
won't
the
happen.
Nintendo. Jack
Sakurai's
said Waluigi.
such a troll.
Yeah, even if they
Sakurai's
do
a
though,
troll.
like even if they give us Waluigi, that's good for the memers and like the Nintendo community. No one outside of that cares about Waluigi. Like they'll see it on Twitter because everyone will freak out, and then that's about it.
There's a purple chair in the background.
Yeah, like even if
This
we
guy.
get stuff like I'm trying to think like what are the only things I could think of would be somehow getting like Master Chief in there. That would be monumental. Somehow getting a Sony icon, like maybe a Crash Bandicoot or a
Spyro.
see, even like maybe Kratos, like
Yeah.
People
I
have
don't
talked
know.
about Doom Guy as well. Like Doom Guy was a heavily requested one as well.
I think the next Smash game won't be super third-party heavy. I think it'll be 32 of Nintendo's biggest characters, and there will be something like Subspace where there's a story mode for you to see all of those characters interact in some kind of story where they all culminate together. I think that's kind of the direction it goes. I think it'll be very similar, like, size-wise as, like, a Brawl. I think there will be a ton of characters, a ton of single-player options, but I don't see how it competes with hype. I think
No.
that's where Ultimate just like it peaked with Smash hype. I'm not even sure if we're getting a Smash 6. Like it makes sense like sales wise because like
yeah, I was gonna say.
but like Ultimate is like the perfect send off if they really wanted to ever do a
Yeah.
send off. But
I mean,
that'll
we're
never
gonna get
happen.
a new Smash Bros. Style game, but like honestly, I could see them taking somewhat of a break. Like, imagine Switch 2, we somehow do get a Smash Ultimate Deluxe or a Smash Ultimate.
They pull a Mario Kart 8.
Honestly, like we somehow get a Smash Ultimate like director's cut, and then it maybe adds in like 10 more characters, a couple new stages, and like a full adventure story mode. Obviously, World of Light is the adventure mode in Smash Ultimate, but like what, like somehow we get something like that, and then maybe we get like Super Smash Bros. Racing or something like that. That's just a complete spin-off, so they can still put a Smash game title on store shelves, but it's just I like in terms of making another Smash Bros. As we know it, platform fighter, you cannot beat Ultimate in terms of hype. The only thing I could think of that would be a potential like gameplay gimmick that could be Ultimate is Smash 4 leaned really heavily into custom moves, but they were subsequently completely ignored by almost everyone who played that game. Competitively, people didn't use them because it got a little confusing, and you had to unlock them all, so I didn't even really use them that much in the party setting. I've had this idea for a minute, and Maggie, you kind of brought it up again with like introducing Cappy and stuff. If they're really cutting down on the roster and going for like a 32 character roster, which arbitrary number you threw out, but I like it, so let's stick with it. What if each character then had multiple like instances, quote unquote, which completely switched up how they played? So like you pick Mario, obviously you pick the costume or whatever.
Oh,
but then
like
you
what
could
if they had eras or whatever? Eras
Yeah,
of
like-
movesets or something like
Yeah,
that.
like you could pick like the default Mario moveset, the Mario Odyssey moveset, which leans really heavily into Cappy, and then maybe like
That's
a
actually really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then that way, you could like the Mario Odyssey one could be like his side, his side B turns into like a Pokio, which pokes out or something like that, and up B turns into an uproot or something like that. And then for like Link, it could be super obvious. You could have the Skyward Sword Link we already know and love, and then like a more updated Breath of the Wild Link with like some of the Tears of the Kingdom runes and stuff like that. Like if they wanted to lean into that way, it's kind of retreading the custom moves gimmick that they already did, but also no one even remembers that they already did it. So it's not a terrible idea. That's the only thing I can think of though, because that would allow them to keep the character roster small while still adding in enough content for the hardcore fans. But like a lot of people do not play Smash hardcore. Like I know that's what most people talk about it as, but Smash Ultimate sold like 18 million, 20 million copies or something ridiculous like that. I'm willing to bet 99.5% of those people have not even touched Elite Smash, do not play this game competitively at all, and just play it because it's Smash Bros. It's mainly a party game. I know people hate to say that, but it mainly is. So
True.
if even if they did do like a custom moveset thing, that still doesn't even come close to competing with Smash Ultimate in terms of like general pop culture appeal. So they're really in a tough situation. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, if anything, with Switch 2 and the Smash Bros. Game we get there, because, God, they got their work cut out for them.
Yeah,
they do. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I love that idea of like kind of the eras, I guess, and you could take those Echo Fighters kind of off the roster. I guess I'm only considering like Dr. Mario in a sense, where you could kind of like imagine your costume switching with Mario, and it's like there's like the game logo that shows up in the corner of like the little character select button, saying like Odyssey or like Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Or
no,
Mario
I think that makes
64.
a lot of
Like,
sense,
choosing
because
from that would be
you
cool.
could keep the character roster low, but it wouldn't feel low because each character would have like 4 or 5
good
different unique move sets.
No, that is a good if they were to do
Smaller
a new Smash
roster.
game like and with a smaller roster, I think that would be how they do it. But again, still, like, I just don't think, like, from a marketing perspective, that is a really tough sell coming out of Smash Ultimate. Like, obviously we know this game is going to have a smaller roster, but they're coming in here and saying, yeah, it's pretty much all the basic characters you already know and love. Some of they got all switched out movesets and stuff, but
obviously it won't be as, hype as Ultimate, but I could already like even see the box art where it's like you got 8-bit Mario, you got 64 Mario, you got Odyssey Mario, and they're all battling together in the middle, like the battle of the eras. Like, I think that's pretty cool.
No, it is cool. It is cool.
Yeah.
I just think that appeals specifically to like the four of us in call, if you're counting to Jack, and like my little cousin who picked up Smash Ultimate because Mario was on the box and like plays it a little bit. I don't think he cares if you can use Flood. Well, I guess you already can use Flood, but like, you know what I mean? Like, that sort of thing isn't as mass appeal as one would hope for making a game that needs to have mass appeal, because Smash Bros. Is a system seller for Nintendo. So again, interesting to see, but I do agree that like Era's idea, it's one I've had for a minute now. I was debating making a video on it, but I just don't really know how I'd package it, so I'll just talk about it here. But like the eras of Smash, like, it would be really cool. It also kind of reminds me of the Mario Maker stage, where it like switches between the 8-bit, NES Mario aesthetic and then can go to like New Super Mario Bros. U. Like, if all the stages were kind of like that, like imagine each franchise got like 1 or 2 stages, and like maybe for Mario you had like the same thing as the Mario Maker stage basically, but then like a Bowser's Castle stage, but it switched between all the Bowser's Castles, and when it switches, like your characters and movesets also switch. It would be super confusing. The competitive scene would probably hate it, but like the eras, like, Super Smash Bros. What would the subtitle be? Super Smash Bros.
Generations.
Rewind.
Take a line from Sonic.
Yeah, Generations. Honestly, something like Rewind. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting idea though. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it, because they're screwed. no disrespect to Nintendo. They are screwed. I don't know how they're upping Smash Ultimate. It's like not possible. So
yeah, I think they need to update the movesets of like the other characters a little bit. Like, I don't think they would do the eras idea. Like, I do love that idea, but characters like Link obviously got like the Breath of the Wild kind of revamp, but Mario just didn't get any sort of like defined Odyssey update. I don't know if that's like a development timing thing, but
you got the one
it was
taunt.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like he got a taunt, and like when you use your up B and coins come out, sometimes they can be purple coins, and like Cappy will occasionally show up on your cap, like when you're doing a up B, I think, maybe. Like,
I'm just shocked they didn't kind of like put him in the moveset. Like, I know this might be revolting to hear for the OGs, but like taking the cape out and instead like replacing it with like a Cappy hat throw or something like that, I think would
honestly
be cool.
Get like Mario's special moves. This is kind of so unrelated to like what we're talking about, but Mario's special moves, I'm sleeping on all of those. You got the standard up B, is fine. He jumps, whatever. Flood, no disrespect to Mario Sunshine. We do not need a 2002 game being referenced in a 2018 platform fighter. Like, there's just so many better ideas they could pull from. Obviously, I would kind of steer clear from Galaxy, because we have Rosalina, who has like Lumas and launch stars and stuff, but like even just from Odyssey, which I know came out a year before Smash Ultimate, but they knew that was the new 3D Mario game. I mean, like, they could have done something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe see now part of me is thinking like maybe power-ups get included. Like, I know there are items in Smash Bros, but what about like power-ups, but then I think you just lean too much into like Super Mario fighters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even us right now, we're struggling, but yeah, it'll be interesting overall what they do. But yeah, anyway, that's it for the hot takes. It was fun. Unfortunately, I wish you guys disagree with me a little bit more, but hey, we ball.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I think we all have very similar views on like what we think the future of Nintendo is. So it's hard to come up with hot takes. Like I think those hot takes to like our viewers or like people outside of us would like agree with that or disagree with that. But yeah.
No,
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, fan question here. So I actually forgot to mention this in the intro, but if you're here, make sure to leave a comment below giving us fan questions because we need the fan questions. We love the fan questions. So question here from Game Block. I believe it was the first episode we came back. Anyway, oh no, it's the Box Arts episode. Anyway, question is, do you think Nintendo will continue to have some of their remasters be enhanced ports, i.e. Skyward Sword and Luigi's Mansion HD on Switch 2 when the graphical gap between those titles and the current gen will be so much larger?
Oh, so the games that Nintendo decides to port over, I'm convinced they have a dartboard with like every single game they've ever made, and they just blindfolded. Miyamoto starts chucking darts at this thing. Why we are getting a Donkey Kong Country Returns HD? Why
That
we
is
ever got
insane.
Luigi's Mansion 2 HD? Some of these games make absolutely no sense to be brought over, but they're doing it anyway. And especially with Donkey Kong Country HD, from what I saw with that one trailer that game's gone, it looks pretty bad. It looks like they're upscaling the 3DS port rather than the Wii port. So it looks weird. It looks arguably like if you just upscale the Wii version in an emulator to 1080p or 1440p, whatever, low-key it looks a little better than the trailer we got for the HD version running on Switch. Also, don't even get me started on Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. That is an absolute joke of a game. Just complete troll by Nintendo putting that out there when even if they're going to go through the effort of making 3DS ports on Switch, there are other games that are way better to pick. Obviously, I'm going to say Kid Icarus Uprising, but that's, it probably wouldn't even, I would like to think it would sell better than Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, but maybe not. Mario 3D Land. That would sell 10 times better than Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Add that game, add in multiplayer, which is literally add in a Luigi model, boom, sorted. That game sells amazing. Like, there's so many better games that they could have picked, but the reason that they're still doing it is these games sell. I guess they just sell. It's super low effort for Nintendo. They're not doing anything, really. No disrespect to if, the people who develop those games. They're not really doing nothing. Like, I think for Switch 2, we'll probably get more games along the lines of a Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake, or maybe even a Link's Awakening 2019 remake, which is kind of completely different because that was like a full-on remake from an 8-bit Game Boy game to like a full HD, art style that they then used for Echoes of Wisdom. But I think for Switch 2, to show off the graphical capabilities, we'll get more full remakes. I think the age of like Luigi's Mansion 2 or Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, where they just take a game that already exists, upscale it, maybe do some slightly new texture work, I think those days are going to be over with the Switch 2, but I do not think Nintendo stops remaking games. I think, like, Kid Icarus Uprising is a perfect example. That game visually would look really, really good if they kind of completely remade it. Obviously, just take the gameplay and a lot of the stuff and the, whatever from the old version, but there are ways for them to make remakes that look really, really good on Switch 2. Like, even Thousand Year Door. People complained about that game's frame rate, but the actual visuals of it, really, really good. Thousand Year Door on Switch looks beautiful. So, yeah, I do think we will still get these enhanced ports. I just think they will be even more enhanced than the ones you mentioned. Like, Skyward Sword HD, I personally actually haven't played, so I'm not super familiar, but from what I understand, it's kind of the same thing, but with slightly remapped controls to get rid of, if you don't want to use the motion controls, you can use the right stick, and then it's all in HD. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, they just kind of move the bottom screen up until the top screen, let you press minus to see the menu. I think those days are slightly over, and I think we'll get kind of more full-on remakes in the style of Thousand Year Door and that sort of thing.
Do you think if a GameCube online service came out, that would hinder the amount of GameCube HD updates we get?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
about to bring up 3D All Stars, but I feel like that's just one kind of alone. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
really apply to the rule. But yeah.
Yeah.
Y-
I don't really see them slowing down. I think an interesting thing you brought up was like the dartboard thing, but I think a lot of those kind of make sense. I think like Luigi's Mansion 2, I think was there to like boost the Luigi's Mansion like brand and get more people like talking about it for a future game. And same thing with the Donkey Kong Country Returns.
I hope.
There's lots of different examples of that in the past. Like I think Skyward Sword HD kind of was like the boost for Tears of the Kingdom. Like not that Tears of the Kingdom needed a boost, but I feel
Yeah.
like that is something we see a lot.
No, you're right. They did Pikmin 3 Deluxe before Pikmin 4.
Yeah.
And also released like Pikmin 1 and 2. You could even say Metroid Prime Remastered.
I was
Yeah.
about to
Which
say
I
that,
don't know
yeah.
how. I don't know how I didn't bring that up, but like that's actually the perfect
That's a great
example.
game.
I think Metroid Prime Remastered is like the type of remaster we'll get if we're getting GameCube games remastered.
Exactly.
Especially if we get the GameCube Online.
Exactly. I don't think they're slowing down. I think a lot of people actually like the HD updates and remakes. Yeah,
True.
that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of like the dartboard example that was really funny. The thing that I kind of noticed though is I think it's kind of both, Mac, in terms of yes, games are kind of like being released to give that boost, but I think it's also Nintendo trying to fill out the library as much as possible on the Switch because it kind of is the ultimate
That's a
console.
good
Like
point.
there is a lot of games from the franchise that are on the Switch, like just
Yeah.
kind of in general. Like almost every 3D Mario is on the Switch. Like, you know, just stuff like that, right? So I think that's kind of the thought. But yeah, I'm with you. Metroid Prime Remaster, definitely the go-to. That was a great game. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
There's
a
the
good point
answers.
talking about just filling out the Switch roster. I think it could slow down slightly on the Switch 2 just because so many ports were brought over to the Switch that they're like going to run out of like good games to actually port at some point.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the Switch's early years were basically just like remakes and Wii U ports. And
Yeah.
they're not going to have the Wii U ports anymore. I don't think it's going to
But
slow down
Xenoblade Chronicles
dramatically.
X.
I don't think it's going to slow down dramatically, but I think it will slow down a slight bit.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think
Yeah.
it'll also help because we're assuming obviously the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible, which why would it not be? Anyway, so yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be backwards compatible, so we can play these remasters and remakes from the original Switch on the Switch 2. So yeah, I mean I hope it slows down as well, but
Yeah.
we shall see.
One last thing I want to add to this is like I don't know why I just have part of it is a gut feeling, but I do think that the Switch 2 will have a lot of 3DS games remastered.
Oh, I love that.
Part of me thinks it because they did Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and the DKC Returns HD. Both, obviously, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is a port of a 3DS game, but also DKC Returns HD looks like it's porting the 3DS version of that game, the Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. So it seems like they do have some sort of pipeline for porting 3DS games. I think that if they're going to do more of those, though, they're going to be complete graphical overhauls with just most of the gameplay lifted over from the 3DS. So that would just involve new texture work and new models, and probably some new animations to support those higher fidelity models. And a couple of games that come to mind for that are both of the 3DS remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Like, if they're trying to show the graphical capability of the Switch 2, we're making the jump to 4K. Those games getting full, or, I don't know if we're getting 4K, but those games getting full, like, HD, like, nice-looking HD remakes would be big. And there were just a lot of, like, kind of odd 3DS games that I could definitely see getting remakes. Like, here's a good example. Samus Returns, right? That game came out, and then the developer, Mercury Steam, ended up working on Dread. I'm sure they're going to do whatever the next 2D Metroid is, because I would bet there actually is going to be
killed
another
it.
2D Metroid, because, yeah, Dread sold really well. It got, like, a lot of critical acclaim. But I could totally see a Samus Returns HD port just taking over the gameplay and updating the visuals in the style of Dread, just because, it would be kind of corny because that is like a remake already. But like something like that, like the games that came out towards the end of the 3DS's life, especially when the Switch was already out and no one cared about the 3DS anymore, that's an easy way for Nintendo to keep making some money. And even like, again, Kid Icarus, I'm gonna keep saying it, but that game is screaming for a port. And even just there were some oddball games like Codename Steam or just stuff like weird 3DS games that I could see them porting over. Because that's the type of console where gameplay wise they really don't have to add anything. Like when you start porting over like GameCube, DS, Game Boy game, like older games, when you start giving those remakes, there are definitely some gameplay enhancements that can and should be made and were made. In the case of like Thousand Year Door, it removed a lot of the backtracking, stuff like that. 3DS games, they don't really need too many gameplay enhancements. They're not like that old. They're like, some of them are less than a decade old, like Samus Returns, less than a decade old. Even the oldest 3DS games are like nearing like what, 10, 12, 13 years now. So like, I just have kind of a gut feeling that if they're going to be doing a lot more ports, that's going to be where they're pulling from. I could even see stuff like we got, what was it, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe or something like that. We got a Kirby Wii game put on the Switch like in a deluxe version. What about like Planet Robobot or something like that? Like those are the games that I would see us getting ports of, because we haven't gotten a ton of those. It seems like they're ramping up production with those, with DKC Returns HD and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and they would be easiest from a gameplay perspective. All they really need is the new graphics, which is probably what they're going to be trying to show off on Switch 2 anyway. So it would be like an easy way to get a game that looks great in a commercial and will probably still guaranteed a few million. So that would be my guess.
I think the Wii U era in terms of like the whole remake situation is definitely going to be over. So that's a good thing, because quite literally start to finish almost of the console, like we've had a Wii U remaster or remake like just sprinkled in there. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has started off, and we've just had
a good
so
way to
much
fill
more,
in the
so.
gaps.
Yeah.
True. And it's also good to kind of reuse those games just because obviously they didn't do as well considering the console. Just one thing I want to say, Thomas, about your Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D point. Zelda's 40th anniversary is in 2026, and while I don't think it'll be the main focal point, possibly there could be some sort of pack released eventually.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. They're going to do something for that. I didn't know that, but 2026, they're going to do something that will give them 3 years since the release of Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom didn't get any DLC, so it is technically possible, but I do not think they will rush out a new 3D Zelda game. They would not get out a new Zelda game unless they like really wanted one for the 40th anniversary, and I don't think they're rushing a new mainline game. So actually those remakes, put them down for 2026, man. Like I could pretty easily see those. Say we get Switch 2 released, Q2 2025, maybe a September Direct or something. We see a double pack. They would not do a double pack. We see footage of like an Ocarina of Time remaster that comes out early 2026. Majora's Mask maybe comes out late 2026. I don't know. Because I do definitely think they will do something.
Zelda 3D All Stars. It could be a pack.
Hey, well,
that'd be sick. Honestly,
that would be sick if they actually remade the games. What would the third game be? Do you think because they would
Princess?
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are still, they've already been remade, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's why it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, Skyward Sword, we all know, has an HD. I mean, it's in the question.
I think they just put the 2 in, but I think that's weird for like an all-star pack, is to put it
at that point. I feel like you should put in the 2D games. I know we're sticking to the 3D Zelda thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Maybe, I mean, hey, this is a complete shot in the dark, but I know we just got Echoes of Wisdom, but would it take them, how long would it take them to do a remake of like the first Zelda game, or like Link to the Past?
That would be
Link's Awakening.
That would be so cool.
That would be like, I don't know, because if they're gonna do something for the 40th anniversary, which I believe they will, I don't think it can be a new game. We got Tears of the Kingdom May 2023 and Echoes of Wisdom September 2024. I don't think that's enough time for them to make a new 2D or 3D Zelda game. So the remake / re-release option would be the way to go. If I, were to be a pessimist for a second, we'd probably get Wind Waker, Twilight Princess HD, maybe if we're lucky in a double pack, but probably not. But also, like, this is the new Switch 2 4K extravaganza, DLSS, all that is supposed to be new high graphic fidelity. Maybe a remake of the original game, like being like, look, now it's in HD, suckers. I don't know. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that.
True.
Yeah.
I was just looking up really quick the 35th anniversary of Zelda, and I was like, I don't remember anything being released for that. It was actually, I'm just reading up on it. Apparently, it kind of got canceled because Mario was the focal point of the 35th anniversary thing, and they just kind of.
Oh, true. That will be Mario's 40th anniversary
as
The
well.
25th.
So
Yeah.
maybe they just
No,
they just say screw
2025
Zelda.
next year.
Wait, 2025. Oh yeah, so next year is
Next year's
Wait.
the 40th anniversary of Mario.
because Zelda
No,
came
no,
out
so-
in 1986, right?
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
Zelda's 26.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to clarify this article I'm reading, it was just the Zelda 35th anniversary was kind of like the whole celebration was canceled because of COVID and all that, and then their kind of resources, I guess, were going toward Mario's 35th anniversary,
Because they
which has
pushed
already
all
been
of
in
that to
planning.
2021. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That would make sense.
we don't really have a baseline, at least for the last 10 years, of what they could do. So that's a whole other
But 40
point.
is
but
a big
that's
number.
interesting.
I think
Yeah.
they definitely do something
They'll
for Zelda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Hey,
But-
one last thing. If next year is Mario's 40th anniversary, I think we have to get a 3D Mario at console launch.
Oh,
or
yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
holiday of next year.
You can't get my hopes up.
All right, I won't. But 40th anniversary for Mario. If we're talking about Zelda stuff, I mean, hey, Mario's the anniversary guy. So
He's the guy.
True.
Yeah.
That is true. Anyway, great question. Thank you, Game Block, for that. We kind of expanded and answered the question more than I even thought. So
We
love
came
that.
up with a
but,
new
yeah.
question after the question from the
Exactly. Inspirational.
questionception.
Yes.
We only had to
The
do
fan
that because no
question
one's
segment.
leaving fan questions. Leave fan. No, I'm kidding. Seriously though, drop a fan question in the comments or tweet at us at Nintendo Tonight. YouTube comments would
Yep.
be better, but yeah, we'll see it and answer it. So, thank you.
Yep. Well, that do be the end of the episode. Mac, you want to close it out for us?
Again.
Because I know you love to do it. I know you love to do it. So
He's
Okay,
nervous.
wait. I got a joke. I got a joke for everybody. This
Oh,
will
no.
be fun.
oh god.
What does a car wear when it gets cold?
Jacket.
I was gonna say a jack it. Like I don't know.
I have no idea.
A parka.
See, what does a car do when it gets old?
What?
It retires. I came up with that on the spot. I think it was better than yours. Jack is making Hawk Tuah noises in the background right now.
I think
so-
that means the episode's over.
Yeah, you
Yes,
get a Hawk
indeed.
Tuah reference, it's probably over. Thank
think
you
it's
guys for
over.
watching episode 65, I believe. 66 coming at you next week. So, stay tuned.
Goodbye.